All right, guys. I've actually been meaning and wanted to do this video for a long time, even before we started the YouTube channel. So it's about our E30 air boxes that we make. We've been making these for a pretty long time now. There are two versions of them. This is what we consider an early model because most of these cars have the expansion tank on the passenger side versus the driver. This is the late model version. These two these are done, ready to be shipped. So these late model versions have the cutout for the expansion tank right here. These don't, and then these are the ones we also use for our swaps that don't have an expansion tank. And I'm gonna go over the process of what it takes to get them to this point. And first and foremost, I'm gonna tell you guys, these are like sort of a pain in the ass. I'm horrible at with my orders. They take forever. Sometimes we run out of inventory before we take them off the site. It's been a pretty big problem for some time now, and then COVID completely put us on another scale on waiting for these. So we actually just got about 60 boxes in, and I haven't posted them or I haven't updated the site just because I'm trying to fulfill orders from 6-7 months ago, just because we didn't have any. I used to make these probably about 12-13 years ago. I used to make them by hand myself, each one, but obviously, you know, I would just make a few of them, mainly for our shop cars. One of the main reasons why I still make these is because of our swaps, in-house swaps. There is almost no profit in these. I only sell these just because I want to keep, you know, any product alive for the, you know, for the E30 community. It does take some time to get them from bare bones, like you see here, to a finished product. So this is how I get them from our manufacturer, which I've been using for the past, you know, 15 years. This is how I get them. They're rough. They're a little bigger than what they need to be. We trim each one to size, you know, with our jig. You know, we drill the inlet hole, the bleeder hose hole, and then we also drill the lid bolts. These themselves are pretty much straightforward. These don't need it to be modified other than drilled. The lids, however, because every single E30 we've ever touched, the radiator supports are always different. Early model, late model, convertible, stand, coupe, non-accident car, an accident car. There's thousands of variants of E30 radiator supports, but we try to make them fit as best we can. There is some people that put in the boxes, they fit great, they have no trouble installing them. Then there's others who have a lot of trouble installing them. They don't fit according to them, or they improperly installed them. For the early model, or for the late model boxes and the early, they have about a 1-inch tab here where, you know, people have the option of drilling into the frame rail to secure the box. But honestly, especially the late model box, once you set it in place, it does not move. It doesn't move, it doesn't go anywhere. I don't even drill these in place. They literally sit in there and they just stay. The early model box has a little bit more wiggle room to move around if you don't bolt it. So we bolt these down just because they don't have nothing holding it other than the intake. Again, we drill and trim each lid to each box to ensure that they fit close to perfect as possible. Obviously, you know, the jig and the cars that we're using may be different from when we ship them out to the customers. But, you know, we do try to get these to fit as best we can. This box here has already been drilled. It has the intake port there, the bleeder hose for the radiator, and all the bolts have been drilled. The box has been trimmed. This box just needs to be sanded down, prepped, and painted. Now we do paint everything here. We do paint them and modify and drill each one by hand. So, you know, we're not robots, not machines. You know, there sometimes is small blemishes, but for the most part, they fit and look really, really good. You know, and again, I'm coming back to the pricing on these. Some people think it's a lot of money. Like, I think this box here is probably gonna set you back about between $400 and $450 shipped. The box itself is about $250. I believe the early model box is $10 more. If I broke this down and I told you how much I made per box versus how much or how long it takes me to prep this, it would make very little sense. Because this box, we're probably profiting on the box itself, maybe $30. From me paying my supplier, for my manufacturer, for a rough piece like that, it's maybe $30. If I broke down how much time it takes me to get them to this, it makes 0 sense, honestly does. But I love the way they look in our swaps, so I will continue making them as long as we continue doing swaps and as long as people want them. There are those who don't really care how much they cost, they just buy them. There are those who wait months for these boxes. I appreciate each and every one of you who have waited. You know, it is, like I said, I'm not gonna lie and say that I'm excellent at taking these orders in. I take the orders in and I wait for about 4 or 5 boxes or 4 or 5 orders to come in before I do them. Just because if I was to just do one, it's not worth my time. And you know, we're running a shop here. You know, yes, I am the owner of Castro Motorsport, but I'm also an employee. I work side by side with all my guys. We do everything. So prepping these boxes is kind of a pain in the ass. So I don't like putting my guys do them. Fiberglass makes you itchy, dusty. It's a really messy job. So I tend to just work on these whenever there's about 4 or 5 orders. If I absolutely need to, then yes, I will do just 1 box. But, you know, we try to keep these on the shelf. Thankfully to you guys, we can't, you know, they just fly. As soon as I get 10, 15, they sell. With, you know, I put them on the side, they go live and they're gone in like 2 weeks. And then, you know, meanwhile, my manufacturer's making more, but, you know, again, these aren't made by robots. These are made by people like you and I. And I've been dealing with my manufacturer, like I said, about 15 years. I know I said I made these by hand about 13 years ago. I guess it's been longer than that, but I know what it takes to make them from scratch. So I don't like to push them either, because when I push them, mistakes get made, the molds get damaged, and then we have to start from scratch. So I kind of just place my order in. If I need 15 boxes, I normally tell them to make me 30 boxes so that I have some coming at all times. So we have about, like I said, about 60 to 70 boxes in stock at the moment. Once I'm done fulfilling the orders, which I have about 30 orders to fill, once those are set, I'm gonna put them back on the site so that you guys can order them. But this will give you a bit of an insight of, you know, what it takes to actually get one of these to this final stage. You know, obviously, and I'd love to get these like rotomolded at a thermoplastic or something, but the cost is just so high versus, you know, how much each one is gonna run me versus how much I'm gonna be able to sell them for. So for now, they're gonna remain fiberglass. It works really well, a little harder to get them to a finished product, but we keep making these, or I keep offering them to the public just because I wanna keep feeding the community with some product for our cars and for my customers as well. But, you know, I've thought about not making these multiple times before just because it is stressful when I get all the emails and constant, you know, questions about their orders and whatnot. But we'll work through that. I'm trying to get better, and I'm trying to have more of these in stock so that I could just pull them off the shelf. But, you know, they sell really quick, so it's pretty difficult to do that. But that is pretty much sums it up. Late model, early model, and bare bones. This is how we get them. This is how they start. If you guys have any questions, you guys can comment, email us, give us a phone call, whatever you guys want that you guys need regarding these airboxes, we'll give you the info.